everyone. Hello and welcome in. The weekend is now over. It is Monday. We are back to the grind. Tomorrow begins mandatory minicamp for the Minnesota Vikings, and that is highly significant for us today because today I think we were given the most important update, at least in my opinion, about some lingering drama surrounding Danielle Hunter and the Minnesota Vikings dating all the way back to last year. And today, tomorrow, right now, this time period has been the inflection point that we've been talking about Danielle Hunter and his status with the Minnesota Vikings. Was he going to be a contract holdout? Could he potentially be traded before the season started? Today, we finally start to get some answers. So the breaking news today is that Danielle Hunter will attend mandatory minicamp starting tomorrow for the Minnesota Vikings. The story was first reported out by James Jones on Twitter. Congratulations, James Jones, for getting a big-time scoop. Now, when I first saw this report, I admit I hesitated because it didn't sit right with me that the source for this was James Jones, right? I was like, that's not usually my go-to for when I, find credible information to make a video about. So I wanted to hold off, wait for most of the day, and see how this transpired and played out. It was retweeted by Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport. It has now been basically confirmed by NFL Network, and ESPN is running stories with it. But I think once Tom Pelissero retweeted it, that was sort of, enough for me, if you will, to take this seriously. And credit to James Jones for being on top of this and the first one to report it out on Twitter today. The NFL Network is also reporting that the team and Danielle Hunter have agreed to a reworked deal that will give him $5.6 million of the $12.75 he's set to make in 2021 as a signing bonus. And this is significant because what it does is it makes him happy. They freed up enough cap space over this past offseason. The designated post June 1st cut on Kyle Roof helped immensely with that to free up, I think it was pretty close to almost $15 million in cap space. Now they're able to pay him a little bit more what he thinks he is owed and due. And what they've essentially done with the big contract extension talks is that they've kicked the can down the road. So this is going to be put off for at least one more season. And I think for the Vikings, this is a winning scenario for them because they are not putting all of their eggs into one basket, i.e. Danielle Hunter, because there is still the question mark. Is he healthy enough to play at the potential or the caliber that he was playing before the neck injury occurred that made him lose the entire season last year? So, significant statistic or fact to sort of relay is that he is now going to be owed an $18 million roster bonus that will be due to him on the 5th day of the new season of the league year of 2022. So they have 5 days into the new league year next season to figure out what they want to do. That is the new deadline. They have moved the deadline from what it felt like was going to be this month or next month. Otherwise, Danielle Hunter might be a holdout for a new contract. And they have pushed that down to next year. They'll deal with it later. They just want to get through this season. And it makes a lot of sense because you look around the league, and even with the Vikings in particular, 1 year contract, 1 year contract, 1 year contract, 2 year contract, right? Because they're sort of getting over the whole season that was not ruined by the pandemic, but set into all kinds of turmoil. Salary cap comes down, all kinds of things go haywire. But now we're looking ahead to the future. We've got TV deals on the horizon. We've got the salary cap going back up next year. We're going to have stadiums that are full capacity. So the business side of this should get back to normal and allow for longer contract extensions to take place. And I think that is the mindset that the Vikings are going with here. So thoughts and opinions on this breaking news today and tomorrow. So number one, I'll believe it when I see it, right? Because you never know. Things could change between now and when mandatory minicamp opens up tomorrow. So when I actually see him in the purple, in the pads, practicing for the Minnesota Vikings, I'll be a full-time believer, 100%. Not that I don't believe this now, because I do, but at the same time, I just want that visual confirmation from the player himself that he's on the field, that he's participating with the team, and he's going to be here this season. So that's really all I'm just waiting for is that final, and then you could breathe a sigh of relief, and everything is good. As far as kicking the can down the road and dealing with the contract later, I guess that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that one way or another. I don't know if they're in a financial situation right now to be able to do this. And I understand how they would be, concerned about giving him a lot of money and a lot of years right here and now when they're not really sure how recovered he is from neck surgery, because neck injuries are serious. They just got rid of a player last month, Mike Hughes, who has had neck problems. He's had injury history. He's a concern when it comes to his health, and they jettisoned him for a late round pick. So when you have Danielle Hunter, who is potentially, if not already, one of the best edge rushers in the league, I shouldn't say potentially, he is, but there is the concern that the injury is going to cause setback and he's going to be a shell of his former self. Not to say that he will, but there's always a chance. You see athletes, you see average people, they get injured, and as their recovery goes through, they don't necessarily get back to what they were before. You can only make something once a certain way, and then afterwards, if you change it, if you manipulate it, you take it apart, put it back together, it's never going to be the same. It's just how things work. So there is concern, and I share that concern with the Vikings, because I basically, myself, and you can let me know what you think in the comments, I myself, sort of not came to terms with the idea of Danielle Hunter, but I sort of braced myself for the reality that he could be traded. So I would have been not devastated by it. It would have sucked, but it would just been like, okay, here's the reasons why, and I understand them. But it looks like we get to avoid that. We get to avoid that right now. Danielle Hunter is going to be a participant in mandatory minicamp tomorrow. That is the report. He's got a reworked deal. He should be happy. All things are looking up. This is the biggest, most significant news story, I think, so far of the offseason, and that is they're going to get their best defensive player back. And hopefully the next story that we read is that he is fully recovered from the surgery and he will be ready to go for 2021, because I think that's going to be the focal point going forward through the offseason, because if he is, there are circumstances around the league that are favoring the Vikings right now, right? Aaron Rodgers is probably done in Green Bay. If he is out of the division, hallelujah, it is ours to lose. And just looking around the league at, the New England Patriots today, great example. Stephon Gilmore was going to be a holdout. He did not show up for mandatory minicamp. That's not the situation that we want. We're avoiding that, so that's good. So that is the update for today regarding the Vikings and Danielle Hunter. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this is fantastic. This is good. This is probably the best way that this could have played out this year for us. So that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.